The best speakers in the world use rhetorical devices to make their message memorable. And in this video, I'm going to show you 5 famous speakers who use these devices with the goal of inspiring you to use them in your next presentation. My name is Kyle Murter. I'm a public speaking champion, author, and on this channel, I create videos every week on public speaking with the goal of helping you improve. So if that's of interest, make sure you subscribe. The first rhetorical device is called anaphora. This is where you start several sentences with the same word or words. Here's a few examples from Barack Obama.
The God-given promise that all are equal, all are free, and all deserve a chance to pursue their full measure of happiness. For us, they packed up their few worldly possessions and traveled across oceans in search of a new life. For us, they toiled in sweatshops and settled the West, endured the lash of the whip, and plowed the hard earth. For us, they fought and died in places like Concord and Gettysburg, Normandy, and Khe Sanh. This is the price and the promise of citizenship. This is the source of our confidence, the knowledge that God calls on us to shape an uncertain destiny. This is the meaning of our liberty and our creed, why men and women and children of every race and every faith can join in celebration across this magnificent mall.
As you can see, anaphora creates a feeling of momentum in your presentation. It lifts the energy of the room. And what I advise you do is you try to think about what key message you want to get across to the audience. Use anaphora to repeat it throughout your presentation consecutively. It will stick more in their mind. The second device is alliteration. This is where you have a sentence where several words in that sentence begin with the same letter or they have the same sound. And perhaps the most famous example of this was Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, his I Have a Dream speech. Here's a quick clip.
My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Now that sentence, not judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. It stands out because 3 words, color, content, and character, all begin with a C. It's pleasing on the ear and it stays in your mind as a result. So if there's a key moment in your presentation, I suggest looking to create some alliteration so that it stays with your audience for longer. The third device is contrast. This is where in one sentence you include 2 words which are the polar opposites of each other. A great example is the other Obama in the family, Michelle. Here's a quick video of her using contrast.
That the hateful language they hear from public figures on TV does not represent the true spirit of this country. How we explain that when someone is cruel or acts like a bully, you don't stoop to their level. No, our motto is, when they go low, we go high.
When they go low, we go high. That is a beautiful example of contrast. It stays in the mind again because we're talking about opposites here. So when you are coming to a key point in your presentation, ask yourself, is there a way I could have some contrast with my words? If you do, it'll make it pop in your audience's mind. The fourth device is rhyme. And perhaps one of the best examples of this was in the O.J. Simpson trial. O.J.'s lawyer used a rhyme to make his message very memorable to the jury. You see, during the O.J. case, there was a glove involved, a bloody glove that was found on O.J.'s property. And it was basically a smoking gun. It was basically proof that he had done the murder. However, the glove didn't fit his hand very well. So OJ's lawyer came up with this rhyme.
O.J. Simpson in a knit cap from 2 blocks away is still O.J. Simpson. It's no disguise. It's no disguise. It makes no sense. It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
If the glove doesn't fit, you must quit. That is a beautiful rhyme, and it made the message, the point from OJ's lawyer very memorable for the jury and everyone who was watching the trial on TV. So again, this is something you could potentially use to make your key message more memorable. Try and use words to create a rhyme which will display your point. Trust me, it will stay in people's minds far longer. The fifth device is epistrophe. Now this is the opposite from anaphora. Instead of starting sentences with the same word or words, we're now going to end several sentences with the same word or words. And we've got to go back to our good friend Obama for an example here.
It was a creed written into the founding documents that declared the destiny of a nation. Yes, we can. It was whispered by slaves and abolitionists as they blazed a trail towards freedom through the darkest of nights. Yes, we can. It was sung by immigrants as they struck out from distant shores and pioneers who pushed westward against an unforgiving wilderness. Yes, we can. It was the call of workers who organized, women who reached for the ballot, a president who chose the moon as our new frontier, and a king who took us to the mountaintop and pointed the way to the promised land. Yes, we can to justice and equality.
Notice how the repetition there of yes we can punches home the message. That repetition of it makes it incredibly sticky in the audience's mind. It also creates some momentum in his presentation once again. So what I suggest you do is, again, look at your key message and ask yourself, could I use epistrophe, especially near the end of my presentation, to hammer and push that message forth towards my audience? Now, if you want some more help crafting your presentation and using these techniques effectively, you might be interested in some one-to-one coaching. This is where I would take a look at your upcoming presentations and give you feedback on your delivery, your body language and voice, how you say it, on your content, your storytelling, your structure, your use of rhetorical devices, and also your slides, if you have them as well. Basically, I will give you a full review of your presentation to make sure it is as strong as possible going into the big day. So if you're interested in that, the best thing to do is email me at kyle@confidencebydesign.co.uk, and I will get back to you within 24 hours with more information on how my one-to-one training works. See you in the next video.